Okay, so we are going to be making a pencil holder, or I guess you could put a crayon holder, any kind of holder that you want, out of our clay today. We are going to be using some measurement and some geometry if you want it to be as nice as possible. There are one, two, three, four, five things that you will need: the clay, a knife. Now, this is just a regular table knife. You don't need a nice one. In fact, ask your parents before you start grabbing stuff out of the kitchen if it's okay to use. A ruler is very helpful. I've got a cup with just a little bit of water in it. You don't want to fill it to the top. One of the mistakes that third graders almost always make is getting too much water and dumping it and making a total mess. Don't want that. And then the last thing you need is a surface. I'm getting a cutting board that is going to be easy to wash because that's what the clay is going to be on top of. I don't want to put it on top of my counters because then my wife will get mad if I make too much of a mess, and clay is messy. So go ahead, get that stuff. Okay, the next step is going to be obviously to take the clay, get a chunk of it, cut it. That's what the knife is for. Well, one of the things the knife is for. And then you're going to want to knead it. So you just kind of use your hands, take it, roll it into a ball. This is getting out the air bubbles. And then you will press down with it. This is easier for people who are taller. So you're going to want to get it so you can really push down on it. You might need a little bit of help. That's kind of up to you. Okay, you want it to be relatively flat. And you'll have something like this. You want it to be about that thick. If I take my ruler, easier to use the centimeter side, it's about 1 centimeter thick. That's how thick you're going to want to make it. Okay, and then I think I want my base to be about 2 inches. Just kind of make sure I've got 2 inches on each side so I can make a square that is 2 inches on every side. And what I'll do is just make, with my knife, make a line. Now if you have a toothpick, that can sometimes work better. And actually, it might be easier, so I get my 90-degree angle to line up the two. And then I'm just going to cut this, go all the way to the end. Look at my 90-degree angle. Cut there. And then connect. So this is going to be a square base for my pencil holder. My base is going to be what's on the bottom, obviously. Maybe not obviously, it's going to be the bottom. You can make yours bigger or smaller depending on how you choose. So I know that I'm going to need to make 2 sides that are both 2 inches long. Then I have to decide how tall I want to make my pencil holder. I found about 3 inches is about right. But you might want to make yours shorter or taller depending on what you're going to put in it. Like if you're going to use crayons, maybe 2 inches would be better. And if you're going to use paintbrushes or something like that, then probably, depending on how tall your paintbrushes are, 4 inches, 5 inches. But what you might want to do is get whatever it is that you're going to use and put it up next to your ruler and measure to see how big it's going to be. Now the trick on this is I want to have a rectangle that is 2 inches by 3 inches. By the way, if your clay is getting a little dry, that's what you use your water for. I dip my finger in it, just kind of go like this, and that's going to make my clay easier to work with. Don't use too much. Do not make that mistake that so many naughty children do of pouring water onto your cutting board, because what that will do is make a horrible mess. Bad, bad, bad. Okay, so I'm going to go to where it is about 2 inches. Cut that piece off as best I can. Do 90 degrees. 90 degrees. And then I will cut this way. Okay, I'm not being too precise because I can't really cut all that precise. So I'm just doing the best that I can, getting it close enough. Okay, there is one of my sides. Now this is one of the things to really pay attention to. If you have a toothpick, as I do right here, or something that's a little smaller, it is a little easier to do this step. This side is going to attach to that side of the base. So I'm going to take my toothpick and make little scratch marks here. And then I will do the same down there. So when I smash them together, they have a better chance of connecting. Take a little water. And then I need to move those together and then start pinching. If you can kind of see, I'm pushing here because I really want that to be a good solid connection. Take a little water, smooth out the downside of that. And I have one of my sides. I'm going to make the other 3 sides off camera because it's going to take a while to watch. Hopefully you have the idea. Smash it. Sorry. Knead it. Put it down. Smash it. And then cut out the sides that you want. When I measure to get this other side, it's going to be a little bit longer than my 2 centimeters because I have to account for that side too. You guys should be able to figure that part out. So I'm going to pause this now and make my other sides. Okay, so I changed my mind just a little bit. I've made the 2 sides, obviously, you can kind of tell, so it looks sort of like a table, sort of. What I need to do now is figure out how long this is going to be. This part's 2 inches, but I added on some thickness here. So if I measure that, I'm going to need to make 2 sides that measure, I'm going to use centimeters because it's easy to measure in centimeters, 6 centimeters by my 3 inches. So they're going to be a little bit longer than these sides so I can connect them all really nicely. And again, if you want to watch, now you don't want to watch this again, otherwise you'd rewind the video. So I'll pause it, make those other 2 sides, and show you how to do the final putting it together. One other quick thing, I kind of ripped this side a little bit, so I just sort of have to put it together. Again, I get my finger wet because water helps it kind of squish together a little bit. Kind of push down on it. And then use my finger to kind of form the sides. I'll just have, since I have this on, don't forget to do the little cross guys there. And since I am attaching these along these sides, I'm going to go with my little cross guys all along the sides. Can't see the water, so you just trust me, get a little bit wet. And then kind of smash it. I shouldn't say smash it, I should say push it together. Then on this side too, I'm going to kind of fold the sides here, get it wet. Smooth out the edges so it looks kind of nice. Now, some 3rd graders care more about this than others so that it looks like really smooth and so it's kind of a flat surface. Some just want to stick it together and then go outside and play. So it's up to you. You're going to have to decide how nice you want it to look when it's all said and done. Because afterwards, well, after you're done making this, actually I'll just show you this now and then I won't bother doing the other side on camera. Very important step is, and this is where a toothpick helps, you can try doing it with your knife, don't get it too deep. You got to write your name in here or your initials. Mine would be DS for Dave Schneider. That way we know whose it is. When it comes to making things that look kind of similar, if we don't put our name on it when we're doing it as a class, then I don't know what belongs to who. That's pretty important. And you can see how there's some kind of rough edges on this one. pushing them together. And there we go. Actually, I'm going to even shove this more because I really want to make sure, just in case I decide, you know what, I kind of want to see if it'll hold water and I can use it as a cup. I want to make sure there are no cracks in it. So just keep going over, smooth, 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 smooth. All right, the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm not going to have you watch me make sure that everything is pinched together so it doesn't come apart later when it dries. That's another thing to know, guys, that just because it's connected when it's wet does not mean it's going to be connected when it's dry. You really got to smash it together, push it together so that the bond of the wet clay will stick to the bond of the other wet clay. When it dries out, it will shrink a little bit so that it falls apart. Okay, extra clay. Make whatever you want to with it. Once I am done, let's say this is my, I don't know what I'm going to call this, a snail. Sure, Dave, it's a snail. Yes, it's a snail. Let's say I'm done with my snail. I just set it to the side somewhere where it won't fall apart, like a cat will jump on it or a dog will eat it. Set it aside for about a week or so because it needs to dry out before it goes in the kiln. The kiln is a very hot oven. If there's any moisture, any water inside the clay, when you put it in the kiln, then the water will start to evaporate. And if it doesn't have a good way to get out, it will, just like a volcano, explode the clay. And then all your hard work will be for nothing. So that's my last video. Guys, get to work, have fun, play around with it. The nice thing about clay is if you screw up, don't worry. Just add a little bit of water, get it moist again so it's not too dry, and start over. It's pretty cool. All right, have a great rest of the day, guys.